Hiya! Wah! Yahoy, yahoy, hiya! Wah! I love self-working tricks. Those are all gimmicks I made and constructed out of other people's ideas. But today we're going to be talking about control for the hot shot cut. So if you haven't checked it out already, check out my hot shot cut video over here. This is part of that series. Now that hot shot cut video is primarily for small hands. I'm going to release a regular hot shot cut later. So if you have small hands, that video is perfect for you. This is about the control, so you can actually use the hot shot cut as a trick. Now we're gonna be learning how to control a card to the bottom, because that's primarily the card that comes out when you do your hot shot cut. Don't do a hot shot cut without looking. This video is gonna be the simplest method to actually be able to do that, and how to make it deceptive. So the control that we're going to be learning today is called the double undercut with a false cut. Now this can be used for any trick that needs a selected card controlled to the bottom, but in this instance we're going to be using it in the context of a hot shot cut. So here's the way it works. This is the way it looks, and then we'll break it down for you. So all you do is you have to be able to dribble, by the way. It's the only real prerequisite. You have to be able to dribble. So you dribble down the cards, and you ask your spectator to say stop. They say stop, you let them peek at the card. Now I can obviously see it through the camera, but ideally you wouldn't know what this card was. And you place it back down. You say, I always look them in the eye at this point and say, do you remember what your card is? Hopefully they say yes. If there is other people watching the trick, always show them the card. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to guess about where the card is in kind of a difficult way. So this is a difficult sleight. One card comes out, it shoots over, and of course it's their card. I wouldn't do it like that actually, so let me redo that. So actually what I would do is I'd present it more like this, because it builds up more tension if you do it this way. So after you catch the card, 7 of hearts. Of course they go, no, like, right. That always makes people laugh. So I like to build up that tension and make the trick into a trick. Don't just go catch it and go, ha-ha, because it's not really entertaining at that point. It's just showing off. All right, let's break it down and get into how to do this trick. All right, so the way that this sleight works is very easy. What you're gonna do is you're going to dribble down until your spectator says stop. As soon as they say stop, you show them the card. You don't see this card, but in this case, just for explanation purposes, we have the 2 of diamonds. As you're showing them the card, you're going to squeeze your pinky in like this, right? And just drop the cards right on top like you don't care. Right after you drop them, you're also going to squeeze with these 2 fingers and your thumb. Your first finger goes behind the deck to also push up on it, just like this. So you're going to kind of squeeze the deck together in this tight way. That way, the front of the deck remains pushed together, because if you don't do that, you're going to end up with this big old gap. So you don't want that gap from the front. I always like to say something at this point, or kind of pause or relax, and then I switch my hands to biddle grip. So my middle finger comes to the top, my thumb on the back to hold that break. Now to do the double undercut, I'm going to use my pinky to pull off about half the bottom packet. Now remember where that 2 is, it's right here. So I'm going to place this on top, I'm going to pull off the rest, and then place this on top. It takes a little bit of getting used to do it smooth, because it feels like these fingers are blocking you a bit, but just with a little bit of time of just double undercutting over and over, it'll make it look a little bit more smooth. So just practice not actually controlling it, but just doing that double undercut. So just lifting and placing the cards on top, and it'll get smoother. You then end up with the 2 of diamonds on the bottom, and that's really it. You can also use this method to control a card to the top. So the difference would be just this: as you riffle down, they say stop. Instead of showing them the bottom card here, what you would do is you'd lift, push that card out, and I always tap that card to make sure they know I want them to remember this card and not the actual bottom card, which is still our 2, but the 6 instead. So I say, remember that card. You pull it back in, Same exact thing, throw the card on top. So in this case, again, 6 of diamonds. So you throw this back on top, and then you would do the whole squeeze thing, transfer the middle grip, do the exact same motions, but this time the 6 will be on the top. All right, I also like to follow this up with a false cut of some sort. So I'm going to teach you a simple false cut to do right after this. So just any sort of false cut right after. This is the one I primarily do, but I'm actually going to teach you how to do this one, just because it's a little bit more simple to teach, and it'll get you started right away. All right, so the way to do this is pretty simple. Start off in like your normal mechanics grip. Your right hand's going to come, and it's actually just going to pull about a third. It doesn't have to be exact, of the bottom of the deck off. You then are going to turn the cards at a right angle to each other with your right hand, and your ring finger is going to come up, and the flesh of your thumb on the bottom here is going to contact the top packet here. So the pinky picks up the top packet. Your right hand, which has the remaining cards, this is the center section. You literally just place the center section back onto the bottom packet, place the top packet back on the top, and then squeeze them all together. So slow, it looks terrible, but at speed, it looks like this. Pretty good. All right, so I'm going to go through that once more, but I'm going to flip the top card upside down just so you can kind of see. And on the bottom, we have the King of Spades. So if we do this at speed, you can see nothing changes places. So again, your middle finger and your thumb come to the bottom. They peel off about a third of the deck. That's more like a fourth, but it doesn't really matter. You're then going to take your ring finger, put your thumb onto the bottom of the top packet here, or put your thumb on the bottom of the cards here, put your ring finger on the top, peel off about half of those cards. Now remember, this is the middle section. Comes back over here, and then I squeeze with my ring finger and my thumb to hold that here so I can let go. I then take this piece, which is now the top, and I just place it on the top here, and my middle finger and my thumb will hold it as I push these all together with my right hand. So if you put it all together, it should look like this. They say stop, step on a card, just to show you what it is. It's the 3 of hearts, but you would show them. Place it back on top. Switch hands. You have the gap. Pull off about half the cards, place them on top. Other half to the gap, place it on top. Then just do a simple false cut. And you have your selected card. Okay, so now you know the moves of the control, but there is a little bit of a misdirection element to this. Here's what it is. As you dribble down, ask them to remember the card. If there are other people, always have them memorize the card too. Never forget that. People forget the card. It's just a card, they forget. So if you show more people, they tend to remember. I've had it before where I've had somebody pick a 6 of hearts, and then I shoot it out of the deck, and they go, no, I had the 6 of diamonds. I'm like, no, you definitely had the 6 of hearts. But okay. As you show them that, you do the slap back down, right? At this point, you want to drop your hand to your side and you say, you do remember what your card is, right? This is the question I ask to give me motivation to drop my hand to the side and look them in the eye. I want the focus to be off the deck for a second. And the reason for that is I don't want them to look too closely, obviously, because you have a big old gap. And if you look real closely and you're just doing this, and you're like, I'm sorry, I'm not up high enough. But if you're just doing this and then you do the move, look how obvious this looks. It doesn't work. So what you want to do is instead take heat off the deck for a second. And the way I do that is you do remember what your card is, right? And most of the time they say yes. If they say no, you have those other people that remember the card. And if you're just doing this for one person, you just do it again, right? Do the whole remember it this time. Now you remember it, right? Again, brings heat off the deck. So I then switch hands, and I'm going to say something as I do this. You don't want to just do the sleight. You should be able to multitask as you do a sleight. And what I mean by that is if I stop and I do this, that's super obvious what I'm doing. I'm controlling a card. My focus is there. People don't imagine that you have worked so hard on a sleight, you can do something while you do the sleight. A sleight to most people's minds is so hard that you have to focus on it. You don't. So I like to say 2 lines because that's about how long both sleights takes me. So I say I'm gonna find your card in the hardest way possible, and I do the double undercut as I say that. The next line I like to use, and I look them in the eyes, by the way. You look them in the eyes at this point because you're talking to them. You don't want to look at the deck as you're doing the double undercut. Brings too much attention to it. The second line I use is, this is probably one of the harder moves I know, and as I say that, I do the false cut. Again, you want to be able to do both of these moves without looking. I don't need to look at the deck as I do these moves. So I have their 4 spades at the bottom of the deck. I then do the hot shot cut. Now this is the point where I do bring attention, because this is a hard move, and this is where you want them to look. So at this point, you just be like, watch, watch, watch. Do some weird David Blaine watch, watch, watch stuff. When you catch the card, try to catch it even with the ground, so you can flip it up back to them. Depending on where I'm working, if I'm working or if I'm just doing this for fun, I have different lines. So if I'm working, I generally say, you know, 8 of diamonds, and they say no. I'm like, yeah, but they wouldn't pay me the big money if I couldn't actually get it. So if I'm just doing this for fun, the line I use instead is, I miscall the card, I'll say, oh, 8 of diamonds, I'll say, oh, no, it's not the 8 of diamonds, and I'll say, oh. By the way, the more you play this moment up, the funnier it is. Oh, well then what was your card? 4 of spades. Oh, that's right. That's what that's called. I would say find your own groove on that part of the trick, but if you want to do it verbatim by what I said, it will work. Hopefully that helps, especially for those of you that just learned the hot shot cut and want to actually use it in a trick. Ho, 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 ho. Now you have a way to do it. That's still the poker guide. Look at that. Poker guide. Can't see it. Doesn't matter. Alright guys, hopefully that helps. If you like this video, gives you help, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, just hit that dislike button twice. That'll help out a lot. Other than that, I will see you next time.